Mark, what's going down?
Well, folks, remember Idris Elba was recast as Deadshot for Will Smith, who scheduling said couldn't do the Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad 2. Turns out he's no longer going to be Deadshot. He's going to be removed from the sequel, the character Deadshot, removed from the sequel, and Idris is going to be a new character.
What a twist.
No, what a twist. We don't know who the character is yet. Do you know Suicide Squad, like, at all? So, like, who he could play?
Well, it's comics are very white.
Yeah.
So unless they race bend a character, there's not a ton of options for him. The Suicide Squad is pretty white as well. I don't know why you would just cut Deadshot though. Like, he's such a monumental.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm so confused about by this. People were wildly confused and concerned when they were recasting Will Smith with Idris Elba to play the same character, but they got on board because if you need Deadshot for the script, it makes sense. And so finally everybody got on board because it seemed like Gunn was saying, no, we need, for the script that was presented, that I wrote, for the script that we're working with, we need Deadshot. So for them to now say, actually, we're keeping Idris Elba, but we are removing the character that the entire script is around, I don't understand what happened.
Well, here's the note that the boys in the booth are highlighting. The decision keeps the door open for Will Smith to possibly come back in future films.
There it is.
Which is maybe Will Smith was like, hey, I don't really want to be done with it yet. I just can't do it right now.
Oh yeah, or perhaps he has a contract that he can't get out of, so he's like, well, yeah, I can't do it now, but I'll be back for Suicide Squad 3.
But I've looked into it, and what? What is his contract that he's... obviously, I don't know. I haven't called
maybe
Will and asked.
Maybe he's got family stuff. Maybe he doesn't want to work yet. Whatever it might be.
You
maybe
should just call him and ask.
ask him.
100%.
Have him on the
Text
show.
Will.
Yeah,
I
but
wonder if it's just in the wake of the sort of James Gunn controversy that led to him getting this job in the first place. He was like, I don't know if I want to sign on to work with this guy because even though he's, we've sort of moved past that
Bad
now.
press for him?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
Think
and
it
then
is, though.
No, but you might have thought that.
At the time, or his people might have encouraged him, like, hey, you don't want to work with James Gunn because
and now that
these
it's all
tweets
cleared
came out.
up, maybe they're like, oh, maybe we should. I bet you there's a phone call from Will Smith like, what are you replacing me for?
Do you think it's possible that both Idris Elba and Will Smith will be in The Suicide Squad? So the second movie.
No, I don't think so. But I think that what it says here is it more so that
for the
it just
third movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But you don't think it is possible that both of them are in this movie?
I think you might get Will Smith in like a teaser scene or something like that. But
A little
I don't.
cameo.
Yeah, I don't think in a meaningful way.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
It's certainly possible. But I agree. I think that most likely they would just focus on this new character, but I wouldn't be surprised if you do some research and that he probably was going to play Deadshot, but then they were like, no, let's think about this.
But now we're going to have no Deadshot character in this movie.
Maybe they come up with an excuse why he's not there.
Initially, I was okay with
just put him in jail.
A lot of people were not okay with the fact that Deadshot wasn't going to be in it because after Amanda Waller, Deadshot is the biggest Suicide Squad character in the comics, not in the movie. I think Harley Quinn has surpassed him in this franchise.
And she's only in it for like a split second too, from what rumors say.
Right,
Yeah.
but I'm curious now if he's not in it, how do people feel about that? That the character's not going to be there.
I think Idris Elba's a bigger pull than the character of Deadshot. Even if they made him someone like Bronze Tiger, who's been part of the Suicide Squad in the Arrow universe, but is not necessarily like a huge player in the comics. Like, that's a name recognition, and he's such a huge star that everyone wants to be more than the butler of Asgard in a superhero movie.
Right.
You know who plays Bronze Tiger in the Arrow universe?
No.
Michael J. White.
Oh,
and
interesting.
he's awesome.
Yeah, we had him on. He's the coolest guy.
That's honestly my guess for who he is playing, because as you think about it, I don't know how many options there really are.
I mean, like, they race bent Deadshot, so they could make him Slade Wilson, even though that other guy is playing.
Deathstroke?
But, they could make him anyone they wanted. He could be Sportsmaster, who's traditionally white, but is like Arrowette and Cheshire's dad, or
I like Deathstroke.
Yeah, I think that
That's a great idea.
I don't think it's as clear though as like I think he was cast as Deadshot. At one point.
Yeah.
I just
me
think he
too.
was. Yeah, and then it was just like.
But then how much is his story going to change? Because is he just going to try to shoehorn a different character?
they'll just rename the character.
I think that's exactly
so,
right.
But that's so strange.
You have to, but you still have to do rewrites because you're right. They'll change it. a couple different cuts here and there, but to make him Deadshot, it's strange to have a lot of his backstory just gone.
Strange.
Yeah.
I don't feel as excited for this as I was feeling a month ago.
It just feels like a classic WB move where you were like, oh, this looked pretty good. And then the more you hear about production, you're like, it seems messy, which doesn't mean it's going to be bad.
No, I think
but it
it'll still be
just
pretty
seems
good,
like
yeah.
there's stumbling blocks along the
And
way.
why are they keep calling it a reboot or a soft reboot? Amanda Waller, Viola Davis is coming back
I think
now.
because there's no
They
Joker in
can-
this one, and now...
And Joel
as
Kinnaman
far
is
as
going
we
to come
know-
back
Oh,
now.
he is coming
yeah,
back.
they said he's
I
coming
thought
back
Joel
now.
wasn't.
Jai Courtney, Margot Robbie. This is all in variety.
It's
So
probably he's in the middle of the creative process too, to where
Yeah.
James Gunn is probably figuring out this thing and making it work his way. So I wouldn't be too concerned about
This
it.
is
saying
what
it just
we've-
because of some of the critical reaction. So they're like, hey, it's kind of a fresh
Yeah.
start, but same crew.
Well, remember how we found out that Jai Courtney was coming back? What he said? That he got sent the script.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know how many nuanced steps were between that. He could have just been paraphrasing,
Right.
but it doesn't sound like these are well thought out things. And this is what I was talking about before, I don't know, a few months ago, where we still don't have that mouthpiece. I still don't trust the information I'm hearing, any
Yeah.
of this, because I don't know where it's coming from all of the
Right.
time.
A lot of it seems like, and I always go back to that, Joss Whedon is doing a Batgirl movie, and then he was like, I didn't have any ideas for a Batgirl movie, even though there's been 65 plus years of Batgirl stories.
Right.
And you're like, okay, great. So some personal assistant, some PA overheard someone in a meeting, and that's what a lot of the stuff out of WB feels like. Whereas from Marvel, and it's not like they have to be compared, they're very apples and oranges, but Marvel, when you hear news, it's very polished, contained. It is
Coordinated.
presented in a way to be consumed by pundits. And this just feels like someone overheard a phone call, called Variety, and said, "Will you give me $300? Here's
Right.
the latest news."
And obviously that's a generalization, but
Absolutely,
I
yeah,
agree
absolutely, yes.
that for the most part, that is what seems to be happening. And as somebody who's keeping up with DC movie news every single week, I'm confused. It's even on movie release dates, I get
Yeah.
confused because they're always changing.
When is this coming? When is this supposed to start shooting? Did they say?
End of this.
Let's see.
Is the-
I think it's soon. I thought it was this summer, and then it's it doesn't say here.
I thought it was end of
Because
this year,
that-
but probably sooner than that, maybe October.
But I mean that's why it doesn't bother me at all because
2021. It's going to come out.
That's what I mean. They have so much time.
Yeah.
They have so much time. So
it's not like
so-
Aquaman that they said 2020.
Yeah, but no, you're right. There wasn't. They didn't have to push stuff back. But it's just that doesn't bother me. It's the fact that even if he was Deadshot and they rewrote him, James Gunn is a solid enough writer to where he's going to be able to have more than enough time
Completely,
to fix
Christian,
it.
and I'm not saying this is cause
Yeah.
for concern.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that every time one of these things happens, I get a little less excited. Every time that we get, like, for the Flash movie, at this point, it's like, what?
That one, but that one's different though because I don't think they figured it out.
But I
It is
admire
different.
that one because Ezra Miller really wants to be in that movie. His contract is about to be up, so he is doing his best to facilitate that movie happening.
By
And
writing it.
I kind of admire that kind of step. Like he
Same.
pulled out his ovaries and was like, "This is what we're doing." Like that's really cool.
I feel
Well,
down.
they got to pick his script. I mean, well, they have to pick between he's going to do a more
Him
gritty
and Morrison
version.
are doing
yeah,
one,
Grant
yeah.
Morrison, and then I guess that's going to be left to WB. Do they go with the Francis and Daly script or Ezra Miller's? I'd love to see it Ezra Miller. I don't know what that guy can put on a page. That'd be freaking crazy.
The only thing that he's got to be able to do though is because you can tell there's been a shift as far as their direction where they're
Yeah.
going, and I think it's working really well. So he's got to be able to fit into that direction of where the franchise seems to be going.
Which
Different.
the current character does not.
That's what
Just doesn't.
That's my concern with his script is that I agree with you that I think it's cool that he can say, I'm going to try this, and they're giving him a shot to try it. But it's a big mountain to climb.